Live. Thank you very much for joining me. Please read the caption of the broadcast. Take your time to read the description of the broadcast as well. And as usual, like the broadcast, share it. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, and tell them that Mayegun today, it should be an interesting noon or night tonight. Yesterday, Kaduna Little Finger, the El-Rufai of Kaduna, poked the bear again, this time with another kind of like salvo shots when he said, Tinubu is gone. The guy is gone. And in 2027, they are going to send the urban bandits back to Lagos. This is a kind of a trigger, as usual, from the usual culprit, the presidency. But El-Rufai said a lot in that Arise News interview. He also said that he agreed that he is one of the instruments used in bringing Kolu to power in Nigeria. He called it a disaster, a tragedy. And right now, he is part of a coalition that will remove this tragedy, to undo what they did. So to undo what they did, would be the right one, right? And to Tinubu's camp, it's just one of those rants. See, one of those rants or not, that is why you are on Mayegun's Diary Political, so that a day in the future, you probably will need any other days in the diary, so that we will keep everything documented. Mayegun's Diary Political is like the filling the gap kind of platform. As much as the ruiners of Nigeria are betting more on people's forgetfulness, Stockholm syndrome, and of course their personal appeal to their personal greed. Mayegun's Diary Political is, if not for now, but for the future, and the generation that needs to know these characters, what they did and when they are doing their online research, they will come across some of these videos. So you see, so tonight we are documenting everything that El-Rufai spilled. Now, what in the world would make Tinubu get beaten or defeated in the charade that he is going to conduct? Yeah, that is the background from which the typical Ronokus have been talking, like this coalition, that. These are just clowns. How in the world do you expect Tinubu to actually lose power to you? And for people like us that you can call the observers but interested party too, it is a good feeling when people who have power have abused this so much that the people, they have become so detached from the people that they were supposed to have derived their power. So currently you can tell, like people are saying it, that Tinubu and his gang do not really need your votes. They just need few people to line up on the day of the charade, get their pictures taken, election results announced. They just need your validation to say, okay, you participated. This is how much confidence that these guys have. And at the same time, this is how much a distrust that Nigerians have in the system. So in this kind of breath, when the likes of El-Rufai and others says they know what they did, and somehow is not a reliable person, or it's not a credible person, all right? But is also not a negligible person or character. He is pretty much involved, all right? So whatever they did that made the druggie to be your president today, that he thinks he can help them on down on, yeah, great. You should listen, okay? Like, just listen. And that's what that is why we are kind of like having this expose tonight. If you have listened to the conversation before now, great. So when he said they conducted, he said they have conducted a survey. I know it is just all talk. You don't even need to conduct a survey to read the mood of Nigerians, genuine ones. So according to El-Rufai, they conducted a survey. In that survey, it is only 9% Nigerians that are still with Tinubu. Meaning 91% Nigerians, if they have the opportunity today, not only that they will take power from the APC, they will in fact possibly stone them. Like I said, he's not a credible person. And you might say, if he's not credible, then why are we having this convo? He may not possibly possess the kind of a political clout, right, that is bigger than his whole body. But he is also a very useful tool. Is being used severally because he is a religious fanatics will go Oxford for 6 weeks course. Do you understand that? An accidental civil servant. He is a very useful tool in some, at some level of their treacherous power play in Nigeria. So meaning he may not possess the political clout that, could face Tinubu, but it can be very much instrumental to the political destruction of Tinubu, that you can't really ignore him. But like I said, he is not like this powerful person, but a very, very because he knows, I'll tell you something, in their northern Nigeria, so they have this political kind of a followership that is religiously sort of like a structured. All right. So in that kind of a structure, they have a medium where they have all these their mullahs, all these their Islamic preachers. I'm talking about, the high-ranking ones, the Zalas, and to them, the most important thing, the first thing first is the religion, Islam, which is what they used to cover. So after that, and you can use that to acquire power and maintain that power still using that same religion, kind of. So it is stronger than what you can look at, and that is their own tool. All they have to do is just to call themselves like that. Once their political interest is believed not to align anymore, or should not align anymore, from that moment, it will be like this, not the same people who push their Muslim ticket. So it is that kind of, till tomorrow, there are northerners who believed that Peter Obi deported Igbos. There are northerners that believes that Peter Obi arrested him during election in Anambra. It's not because they don't have alternative facts that have already debunked that lie, but because when you look at where that message was passed and the purpose and the intention for it, here you get. So the likes of El-Rufai becomes very, very dangerous. So they know how to use that religious kind of like a tool so well that it will play the role of, you know what I mean, bringing everybody together to say, this is what we're going to do. It's for your own interest. So right now, if it tells you that they've conducted a survey and their survey says Tinubu is only liked by 9% Nigerians, here is my own theory. El-Rufai is practically telling us that those who agreed to compromise the Nigerian electoral system for Tinubu after pushing Muslim tickets and continue to defend him in the last 1.5 years before they have already started disembarking now. Their political interest is not being aligned because to some extent, right, there are some of them who believes that Tinubu has abandoned all the promises he made to them. I don't know the promises on this their Muslim worldview. El-Rufai is building on that. The preaching in their north is that Tinubu hates the north. And this is something they will amplify. But this time around, it's not going to be Tinubu hates the north. Tinubu hates the Muslims in the north. So once they activate that within their circle, you know, there are still some of them that are still waiting that Tinubu will still come back and do what he said he would do. I don't know. But when you read their posts, if you have been politically active, you understand this, right? So when you read their posts, it's like Tinubu has disappointed them. I don't know what he promised them. I have no clue. But whatever their political interest is, this snake, El-Rufai, is ready to exploit it, amplify it, that is, escalate it, then weaponize it. So those who are still with Tinubu are possibly those who feels like they still needed to be paid. So when El-Rufai said the guy is gone, that kind of touched a nerve, because I have not seen this kind of reaction that I've seen from these Ronukus, as well as you know, their bosses in the last 24 hours. So let's go on and check what that is, and then we take it on from there. And their coalition talk, by the way, El-Rufai, the Kaduna Little Finger, ladies and gentlemen.
Very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you, Charles, for having me.
Lovely to see you again.
Good to see you again.
And you are obviously the person everybody wants to talk to, but let me talk generally first of all before I come to you in particular, because we've had different scenarios now about what political vehicle the opposition coalition will use to challenge and attempt to face down President Tinubu in 2027. One was to use existing parties such as the SDP that you're now a part of, or the ADC, or to register a completely new party, which they are now trying to do. Which in that chain of possibility is the most plausible?
Well, look, Charles, you don't go to war with only one plan. So very early in our discussions, the leaders of the coalition took the decision that we'll not only look for existing platforms and identify one that is suitable for all of us to go under one roof, but we'll also explore the possibility of registering a brand new party. Many of the leaders believe that registering a brand new party is the least risky of the propositions. Because
do you believe that?
I think so. I think a brand new party doesn't have any legacy problems or any viruses injected, because what the government, the ruling party and the government have been doing is to create problems in the opposition parties by recruiting and financing viruses to multiply. This is what is happening in the Labour Party, the PDP, and even the NNPP. So many of the leaders expressed concern that perhaps the best way to avoid this, you are dealing with a mischievous government and party that is totally immoral. They will do anything to eliminate all opposition, is to register a brand new party. And the Constitution and the Electoral Acts are very, very clear about the qualifications for registering a new party. Many of us do not believe that under the current leadership of INEC, a new party will be registered, because Dr. Mahmoud Yakubu is not Jega, and President Tinubu is not Jonathan. Okay, those were the people in charge when the APC was registered, and many were pessimistic about the prospects of registering a new party. But we said, let's try it anyway. Let's show.
Right.
Let's show that, you know, INEC is not independent. Right. Let's show that this government is interfering to ensure there is no opposition.
But
so we're pursuing both paths. Right. And if both become available, then the leadership will then sit down and consult and take their views to the plenary, and a decision will be taken.
Right, but some would argue that that's not an entirely fair assessment to INEC, because INEC, from what I understand, has many new applications for parties.
They have over 100 applications.
That are ahead of the ADA.
Yeah.
So it might take a very long time for INEC to get to the ADA, and it might look a bit partial if the Commission skipped the other ones in favor of registering the ADA right away.
Look, it is not a queuing system. The way these things should work is that any party that is registered will get assigned a set of officers. The requirements in the Constitution that have been repeatedly upheld in the Supreme Court are very simple. They are very easy to meet. So, you know, you don't need the entire INEC to queue 100 applications and say, oh, we'll finish A before we come to Z. You assign teams, and look, we've project managed things like that. You can do this in no time if you want to do it. Of course, they will give those excuses, but we don't believe it. We don't believe that. And when the timelines in the Electoral Act and the Constitution are very clear, there are a number of days that INEC must respond and say, this is the defect in your application. Otherwise, the Constitution says, you know, you are deemed to have been registered. So INEC is treading on a very narrow path here. It has an opportunity to show its independence, and it should prove its skeptics wrong. But there are opposing views, but the coalition decided that will be pursued, and that's why you saw the application.
Right.
And in
it's a collective decision.
It was a collective decision.
Right, because what we are hearing is, I mean, to the public, it looks like there.
But it is the leaders of these groups that are in the discussion. We are not bringing parties together. We are not engaged in a merger. I am part of the leadership, but I'm not there representing SDP. I'm there as an individual with some political weight, no matter how small, in my state or in the Northwest. Okay, so this is how all the groups, how the coalition is formed. It has nothing to do with parties, but we all agreed that if we're able to come to a consensus about a political party to go into, we will leave our parties and join with all our followers. That is the understanding.
Sure, of course, the political party consensus is the first step, isn't it? The second step is who's going to actually be the presidential candidate of the party.
First you need a party. Every party has its constitution and rules. It is the rules of the party that will determine how the primaries will be carried out, how the congresses will be carried out, that will lead to the emergence of party leadership as well as candidates for the election. That is a second or third step. We are not even talking about that. This is why I feel quite empowered and encouraged by the attitude of the leadership, because nobody is talking about
very much
what they want to become. Now, the key point from El-Rufai's statement in that part is that they want to treat Tinubu as someone who is very different from Jonathan, and Yakubu very, very different from Jega. So Tinubu is not Jonathan, Yakubu is not Jega. So they themselves want to be a little bit duplicitous